Right, you all settled? I'm all
Yeah.
settled. Excelente. Welcome to the Dude Catholic Podcast. I'm your co-host Adrian, here with a man who is the reason why Brett Favre went into retirement.
Ramon.
Yes, you are indeed. Today we begin a series titled Outstanding, with an episode titled
It should be me.
That's Right. Our scripture today comes from
1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33. Do not be deceived. Bad company ruins good morals.
Delicious.
Delicious indeed. So let's get this podcast on the road. All right. So for this episode, we decided that we were going to talk about not so much, kind of reprimanding people about having friends who are bad influences. I'm pretty sure if you're listening to this, you're old enough to keep better company than that. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about keeping better company. For this episode, we wanted to focus particularly on the story of a little boy. You might have already heard this story because it's been all over the internet, all over. It got all sorts of attention. And it's a story about a little, 6-year-old boy?
6.
Yeah, his name is Bridger Walker. And there was a dog that was about to attack his little sister. And when he saw that happening, very matter-of-factly, he just kind of thought to himself, if anyone's going to die, it should be me. And he jumped in front of that dog and took the blow. And took a savage beating by that dog, who mauled him and left the left side of his face pretty mangled up. I mean, it's kind of brutal to watch this tough little guy. And there's pictures of him recovering all over the place. And his aunt, I think, was able to send out a challenge to all the Avengers or say good job to the kid. And they all kind of started stepping up and recording little videos. They send it to the boy. Captain America send him a shield, and I think Tony Stark was going to give him something else. I don't know exactly how that turned out, but they're getting in contact and doing a bunch of stuff for the kid. And I'm like, you know what? Good for him. But I don't want to take anything away from the act that started all of this. It's really easy to focus on the good stuff, like on the good aftermath, that comes his way. But even without thinking about that, or not even thinking about that, that kid made a conscious decision that others shouldn't suffer, and that he will take whatever blow there is to be taken for those that he loves. And at 6 years old, that speaks volumes about who he is, who he was raised with, and what the rest of his life is going to look like. And I'm not saying he's going to be getting mauled by dogs left and right. But what I am saying is that you have a young man at that point, at such an early age, already ready, willing, and he's demonstrated that he is able to take on that kind of suffering for the sake of the beloved. That's already more than a lot of grown men have done.
Well, you've seen the movie. I was going to say the name of the operation, but that's not the name of the movie. Lone Survivor. We actually,
yes. Yeah, we went that. That's the reason. I think when we watched the movie, that's the reason why we decided to grow beards. One of us still has his.
Yeah, and it's such a good movie because you show the grit that these guys display, and not just like in the Hollywood like version of it, because the real thing was pretty savage. If you really think about it, it was 4 well-trained warriors against hundreds of other trained warriors, the freaking Taliban. And, long story short, you just see these guys enduring all kinds of stuff, and then they all died but one. But the one that I want to focus on is not Marcus Luttrell, the quote-unquote lone survivor, but I want to focus more on Lieutenant Michael Murphy. And I had heard this story, but watching it on screen in the movie theater, it just put it into perspective.
Oh yeah.
They were pinned down already, and like I said, it was a lot of Taliban fighters against them. They were pinned down. There was no communications. Like, they had a really bad reception on their satellite radio. So what Lieutenant Murphy did, he was he put down a lot of his gear so that he would weigh less, so he had to carry less weight to go up the hill even more into an open area where he knew he was going to die, but that's so that they could have a fighting chance at survival, so they can get better communications. So he does that. He's getting shot multiple times on top of what he's already been hurt, and he's still going and going and going until he gets to that spot. He's able to get through somebody in their combat outpost, and as he's getting shot at, they say, okay, we're going to send somebody already. He's getting shot at, and he says, thank you. And then he gets killed. It's really crazy to think about stuff like that. Like the little boy, it's just as heroic as what Lieutenant Murphy did. And it's cool because looking at his story, reading up on it, I think it was the Gracie family. Like, they're really big on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They invited him to do that.
I saw that. Yeah.
To come to California for a free lesson and in Jiu-Jitsu, but he's already doing Jiu-Jitsu, this little boy, and it's so awesome. Like, it's no coincidence.
Nope.
That he had the courage, the fortitude to say, if somebody has to die, I figured it would be me. It should be me.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy how that little boy. It's not that crazy, actually.
No, I was going to say that.
Yeah, looking at his age, but his age in this case, it's just, it doesn't matter. But that courage, because it made me feel like such a coward. I know for a fact I would have jumped in there for sure. There's no question about it. Mm-hmm. I've jumped into worse situations, but at 6 years old, I think I would have been really scared, and I don't think I would have been as brave as him. And it's just such a contrast, a 6-year-old boy, a 34-year-old man. Yet I think he's more courageous than I am, because he's got a more pure, more innocent, more loving heart than I do. Yeah. And what a great example, because we let the world corrupt us. We let the bad company ruin our good morals, like the scripture says. Maybe not directly, but in a pretty indirect way. We've said this a million times before, but we're going to keep saying it. Garbage in, garbage out. Just straight. I'm not going to try to color it any other way. Just garbage in, garbage out. That little boy has been feeding himself with good company and with good activities, with just nothing but goodness. And that's the outcome, where he saw the scary dog and he went forward. If somebody had to die, it should be me. And not this 4-year-old little angel that's my sister. It should be me. Because I've been preparing for a battle. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about that, I think.
I think so too. So pray for, okay. I mean, what else is there to say? Like, that's basically it. I mean, I'm just gonna hammer on that bad company ruins good morals part, and like I said, this is not gonna be a your friends suck, stop hanging out with them. But there is something to be said about man, I don't even remember who said this one. It's attributed to many people, so I'll just leave it up to Google to decide that you become, or you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I think Jim Rowe is quoted as saying that, but there's, who knows? I know the internet never lies, so one of those names has to be the right one, right? But the fact remains, like who you surround yourself with determines who you are. So in a sense, you determine who you are. Whatever was taught at home, for better or for worse, that's your background. That's your background. Those are your blueprints. But you decide who you become from the moment that you have the ability to make the choice of who you're going to hang out with. You determine who you're going to be for the rest of your life. Because the way that St. Paul puts it on his first letter to the Corinthians is great, because he says, bad company ruins good morals. That even if you have good morals, even if you have an upright upbringing, if you choose to hang out with bad people, your morals are going to be ruined. It doesn't matter what your background is. Whoever you choose to keep company with is going to make you or break you. And so hang out with people like little Bridger, like hang out with people that have that same determination. Hopefully they're your age. Don't go out there befriending little kids. That's weird.
Yeah, don't be a weirdo.
Probably gonna cut that. That's weird. Yeah, but that's basically what I'm getting at. It's like choose your troop, choose your tribe wisely. And we talked about it a little bit last week when we were talking to the coach. Yeah, right. Kramer Soderbergh. And I got it right the first time. I pronounced it correctly. We're talking about how we thrive in tribe. Like depending on who we choose as our companions, we are going to thrive or not. We're focusing on the positive here. And you're choosing who you're listening to right now. Just by listening to this, you are making a conscious decision to be part of a tribe that's out here to make you better and to make ourselves better. Like I said, this is a community effort. We need you probably more than you need to listen to us.
There's people that I graduated in the academy with, and then they ask me, "Oh, how's work?" And sometimes I want to tell them, "Dude, like probably same as you, but not really." Because every facility is different.
Yeah.
The facility where I'm at, there's a lot of gangsters and a lot of the Mexican mafia dudes, like they're housed there. So it can get pretty nasty, pretty brutal. And I'm trying to find a post that I made. Well, it's like on the story here, but whatever. So one of the guys from the academy, he's like, "Hey, dude, like how's your facility?" I was like, "Dude, remember like in jail ops school, like how it would show us videos about that facility?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, it's exactly like that." Like, oh dang, so, like been getting into stuff. I was like, probably not as much as you think, but yeah, most people that work there get into stuff, even the women, but not as much though. But still, it happens. Mm-hmm. It's not unusual. And but let me actually look up the post here, because I posted something dated July 17th, 2020, 0013 hours, which is 13 minutes past midnight. On the indicated day and time, lots of positive contact was made in a rough and brutal environment. Leading with love complements the toughness necessary to do the job. Stay safe and God bless. People ask me, how's work? I don't know how to answer that. Like, I don't know what, because good is just so bland. Mm-hmm. But I mean, how else am I going to describe something that I don't really want to open up about? Like, I'll open up about the good stuff, and it's not like bad stuff. And actually, a lot of stuff happens there, but I'm not involved in it directly. Not always. Thank God. I'm in a spot right now where it's really boring, and usually boring is good, and this spot is good, but ugh. So I sit in a desk right now, and I make sure that the hallways are clear so that there's different classifications of inmates. And if, for example, like a very dangerous murderer with a high classification sees, I don't know, one of the gay inmates or a rival gang member, something is going to happen, and it could escalate into something massive. And then whose fault is it? Garcia, because he didn't prevent that from happening because he let the traffic go by, like, whatever. So that's the least of my worries. Like, I'm pretty good at it. It's easy to control the traffic there. And then when inmates go to their passes, whether it's a medical pass to see their lawyer or whatever, they know the procedure. You know, you show me your pass. I look at it. I look at your booking number and your wristband to make sure you is you. That's how I answer them. Like, oh, why you doing this? Like, because I want to make sure you is you. And I make them laugh sometimes. You know, all about making that positive contact, man. But I look kind of not friendly at work. It's just the uniform itself and like the stuff I have on my belt is kind of, I mean, it's minimal, but it looks very like threatening.
Yeah, let's just say you're not carrying cake pops to pass them out.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm small, but I am aware how intrusive my presence is there.
Mm-hmm.
And how I have to ask for their pass and how I have to tell them to tuck in their shirt and put their hands in their pockets. But I try to do it in a very respectful, way. Most of the time they're very cooperative because they see my tone. They see my body language and they hear the tone of voice that's coming from behind the mask. And not too long ago, there was this guy and he looked like he had attitude. So I was like, all right, let's see what's going on with him. So I was like, hey, dude, how'd it go? I was like, not too good. But kind of, he said it with an attitude. Like, oh, why is that? He's like, it's just nonsense. That's all. It's like, come on, man, slow down. Like, here, have a seat. Because I put a chair right by the desk. And just have a seat, dude. Like, come on, relax. It's not like you're dying to go back to your housing location. And he started laughing. Like, see? I was like, boom, there you go. That's he opened the door right there. It's like, have a seat. Yeah. What's going on? He's like, no, my diabetes is really high. And he started telling me all his problems. I was like, all right, dude, like, I had to cut him off. It's like, cool. Let's focus on one thing. The diabetes, right? He's like, yeah, like, it sucks. I was like, well, you're kind of young. How old are you? Like 25, 30? He's like, oh, 38. Like, you're still fairly young. What's going on with the diabetes? Like, do you have the diabetic diet? No. Did you know you could get a diabetic diet? He's like, well, I don't know. Well, now you know. So I opened the drawers. I get him a medical form. He's like, okay. I told him pretty much exactly what to do so that he can start getting a diabetic diet. And I was very straight up with him. I told him, dude, this is going to take kind of long, but at least you're going to be doing something about it. Because complaining and just being angry, staying angry. And I told him, and to be fair, I'm not talking trash. You know, I maybe you didn't know, but now you know. So fill this out and start solving those problems in your life. And he gave me this look like, who the hell are you to tell me all this stuff? But like I was talking to him like I was his dad. And that's what made a difference. I was like, stop complaining, dude. Let's fix this one thing at a time. Let's do the controllables. Because you can't, diabetes is a beast.
Yeah.
And I mean, sometimes you can eat very well and exercise and you're still going to lose your eyesight. You know, I mean, it's unpredictable. At least like do something about it. Yeah. Try to get the diabetic diet. And that's pretty much what I told him. Like, dude, just go ahead, man. Just, again, like I told him how to fill out the form. And I told him like, yeah, dude, like you don't want this to get all bad and then you have to get amputated and you're stuck in this horrible place. And then that's only going to add to the list of things to get angry about. So let's focus on what we can take care of, all right? His attitude just completely changed and it cost me nothing. And he left like happy. He's like, oh, thank you, sir. Like, yeah, dude, have a good night. Simple.
Our dogs are going to be different, huh? Like, we don't know what dog's going to approach us or what dog is going to approach whoever we love, you know, and throwing ourselves in front of it may cost us nothing. But either way, it's going to make a difference in the lives of those who we're being entrusted with. You know, you're being entrusted with taking care of people that most of us don't want to take care of because of what they've done, because of who they are in our minds, in our hearts. You know, I've been having a lot of time because I'm a teacher, and so teachers aren't working right now. And I've been learning about things that are happening around the world, and we're going to talk a little bit more about them next week. But man, like there's certain people who I have to admit I wouldn't want to help, and sometimes to you it may be nothing, but to imperfect men like me, it's an extremely heroic act, something that I wouldn't want to do, and you're doing it every day. I'm pretty sure I tried my best, but I just say that because I don't have to be in that situation. I put myself in a different situation. And I was going to tell a story about like how I will, I guess. I'm not going to just leave it like that and say, I had a story, but I'm not going to tell you. Going back to the whole idea of choosing your tribe and whatnot. And I also try to make a difference everywhere I go. It's kind of part of the mission. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm getting hired at places right now. I think I already shared that I lost my job at the end of the school year because we didn't have enough numbers for next year. But I developed enough relationships that my 3 recommendations came from my newest job. I didn't have to reach back to the old job where I spent about 9 years. And they were great recommendations. As a matter of fact, the person that one of the people that recommended me had a friend that is a department chair of the department that I'm going to be working at in this new school that I got a job in. And it's a high school, which is pretty cool. But it wouldn't have happened unless I built the relationships that I built where I was at a certain time. And you don't have to look for a sign as big as that dog that's raging and about to hurt someone you love. Like, just start with where you are, doing what you can in the place that you're at, like with the tools that you have. You don't even have to look that far. I mean, the coach last time, Kramer, said that in his team, his dad, who was a coach as well, only had 3 rules, right? Show up on time, do the best you can. And that hit me because God is not asking you to do what Ramon can do. God is not asking you to do what Adrian can do. God is not asking you to do what, I don't know, what anyone else is doing. God is asking you to do your best, not someone else's best. And whatever challenge he's preparing you for, he's preparing you for it as we speak. It doesn't start later. It didn't start yesterday. And if it did and we failed, it starts again today. So in that spirit, we ask you to be like that little boy. That little boy that probably did his best every single day so that when the time came, he was able to say, if someone's going to die, I think it should be me. If someone's going to sacrifice, it should be us. And so as we continue on this path, pray for us.
And we'll pray for you.
Ferm.
Ferro.
Aquitur. With a man who is the reason why Brett fart. Take 2, action.